Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Maverick Sports. You know, with the winter sports schedule in full swing, we have lots to talk about. We have wrestling, we have swimming and diving, both men and women, basketball, hockey. We'll also take a look at the quick change artists hanging out at the Quest Center, as well as something called the Fieldhouse Study Hall. Didn't have that when I was a student here. Plus, we'll talk with both Darren Hansen and Patty Patton Shearer. So let's get started. First up, it's wrestling. Mike Denny's crew headed west to the Kearney Open, and the trip was very successful. Cody Garcia led the Maverick charge, wrestling unattached, taking the 133-pound title. Garcia recorded the most falls in the least amount of time, with the fastest coming in just 49 seconds. Other first-place winners, Sim Bribaseka at 141. Sim went 4-0, beating Kearney's All-American Jeff Rutledge in the title match, while two Mavericks met for the 149 championship, with Todd Manili besting Eastside Dominguez. And here's a look at how the rest of the Mavericks did. We have Russ Taplin, and of course, all these different weight classes. Mavericks really look good again this year. I'll tell you, Mike Denny just does a great job. But there you see how the rest of the Mavericks did, all the way to Bryce Bem, who finished sixth at 285 pounds. All right, from the mat to the pool we go. UNO took on Minnesota State Moorhead over at the pool in the Hyper building. And while Jessica Lefebvre and Ashley Barna each won 2 events, Moorhead took 10 of 16 events. Barna won the 200 and 500 freestyles, while Lefebvre grabbed wins in the 100 backstroke and the 100 butterfly. Kate Hopkins chipped in with a 200 backstroke win. Kate was also part of the winning 400 freestyle relay team that included Katie Howarder, Lindsey Klein, as well as Barna. And the Mavericks also hosted the Mutual of Omaha Invitational since our last show. Todd Sandland's group won 6 event titles en route to a 3rd straight team championship. And there you see how they finished at the Mutual of Omaha Open. The Mavericks easily outdistancing the closest competition, which was Grinnell, and then of course Colorado and Colorado School of Mines. Kearney in there as well as the UNL Swim Club. All right, let's move from liquid water to solid water. In other words, the ice rink. Hockey Mavericks have played 4 contests since our last show. They've lost a pair to Notre Dame, then they tied 2 with Lake Superior State. In the match you're seeing right here, Brian Marshall scored twice, including the game-tying goal at 14:38 of the final period in front of just under 4,500 fans at the Quest Center. UNO held the lead twice, falling behind 3-2 early in the 3rd period, and then Marshall lit the lamp for the Mavs' 2nd straight tie. Looking back at the last 4 matches, you can see they lost 2 games at Notre Dame, and then the 2 ties with Lake Superior State. Then, of course, right here, the CCHA standings. Michigan with just the 1 loss, and Miami of Ohio is coming up on the schedule, as most of these teams are. And then you see Notre Dame that beat the Mavericks twice. And, of course, the Mavericks sitting at 4-7-3 in the 2nd division of that conference, led by Bowling Green. And then the latest Maverick opponent, Lake Superior State, still yet looking for a W. Have a couple of ties, but they're looking for a win. All right, from the rink to the hardwood, and Darren Hansen's number 22 men's hoops team. On our last show, the Mavericks were 5-0. Now they're 7-0. So the question, can anybody beat these guys? Look at their last 2 wins. They've beaten the numbers 3 and 7 teams in the country. They took down 3rd-ranked Northwest Missouri State in Maryville by 14 points, then dispatched 7th-rated Emporia by 14. Add to that, senior Denny Johnston is named the North Central Conference Player of the Week. He hit for 23 points, grabbed 5 boards. He handed out 4 assists against Emporia. By the way, Coach Hansen will be our guest coming up shortly here on Maverick Sports, so you want to stay tuned for that. All right, let's take a look at the women's basketball team. Since we last got together, Patty Shearer's team has won 3 of 4. They're on a 3-game win streak. Against Peru State, Alyssa Green had a double-double while 3 teammates hit for double figures in a non-conference matchup at the Fieldhouse. Green had 21 points, 12 rebounds. The Mavs' first loss came against Shelter, Missouri on the last day of November. But UNO rebounded for a win against Metro State in the second game of the Downtown Doubletree Classic. Say that fast 3 times. The last time out before this show, UNO ripped York for its 8th win. Alyssa Green named a North Central Conference Player of the Week after averaging 20.5 points a game in the Mavericks' last 2 games. She also shot over 53.5% from the floor. And that brings us to this. Lady Mavericks coach Patty Shearer is right here in the studio with us. Coach, nice to see you. Darren Hansen can say all he wants, but, you guys are holding your own pretty well, too.
Hey, well, I do give great kudos to the men's program. They've worked inordinately hard. I know they suffered a lot of injuries last year, but coming back this year and sitting at number 12 right now in the nation, we're proud to really, be part of the basketball program and the basketball family.
You look ahead at your crew, and other than the Central Missouri game, and of course, you can't expect to be undefeated. But man, I'll tell you what, now you got back on track with 3 straight wins. So I mean, it seems like things are running on all cylinders early in the season for you guys.
We would have liked to have been undefeated, and technically we should have been. We could not put the ball in the hole for whatever reason against Central Missouri, and we just did not play with the energy and enthusiasm that we needed to. I am really happy though with our turnaround in a game against Metro State, a team that really could win the RMAC conference, with 14 teams there in that conference. And I thought we showed a lot of composure to come back and beat a really good basketball club. So, I'm excited about this team's potential.
Well, we talked before you came on, and Alyssa Green getting North Central Conference Player of the Week. I know that in a lot of team sports, people don't look to personal or individual awards, but something like this has to give someone that one more boost of confidence, and I think it's good for the team as well.
Absolutely. I mean, Alyssa is a tremendous player. She has a lot of versatility, and I don't even know sometimes if she knows what she's capable of. She can really take you off the dribble. She can shoot from the perimeter. She does a great job getting off the ball. She's got a great knack to pass. But beyond that, she's a really quality young woman. She does a phenomenal job in the classroom. She carries a 3.9 GPA. She wants to be a doctor. She's a great, humble leader. So beyond just the great qualities that she puts forth, by watching her performances on the floor, she's a great leader and a great asset to the university campus.
Yeah, after that description, my question to you now, is she able to leap tall buildings in a single bound?
She probably could. I don't know.
But, you've got a great mix of kids. I mean, not to just pick out people, but of course a lot of fans look at stats. So if you do that, Amanda Broadsack and LaToya Wright also jump out at you. Amanda has 20 steals, 16 assists, 14 blocks, averaging double figures. LaToya also averaging double figures a game and 19 assists. I mean, that's a great cast when you put it all together.
It is really, and we are excited about having the potential. And, we kind of liken it to some sort of, sometimes volcanoes just erupt at times. And we keep hoping that this team, there's something that's going to click and, we're really just going to catapult to a different level. And we know we have that potential. Mm-hmm. We're just working to put that together. Obviously, Amanda's done a tremendous job. Great transfer that we were able to get. We recruited her really hard in high school. She went to the University of Northern Iowa, but we're really fortunate to get her kind of the second time around. And LaToya Wright, she is a great asset. If you want to watch an athlete run the floor, she really is tough and amazing. Mm-hmm. So it really is. But I think the great piece about this team is the depth. If you look at our numbers, you can see our entire roster is averaging in double digits. And on any given night, we have players who can go out and put up big double-digit numbers. Kyla Hargrove coming off the bench, she can score with anybody in the conference. She's a pure shooter. And when she gets going, she is really tough to stop. Ellen Majeski is doing a phenomenal job off the bench for us, putting up, close to double digits. But on any given night, any one of those players are capable of putting up those kinds of numbers.
Okay, now you talked about the depth and the toughness. When you took this job, were you aware of that kind of tradition that UNO had, especially, you know, with Connie Clausen and Sherry Mankenberg kind of blazing the path here at UNO? That's kind of been their I don't know, their tradition of being tough, having that depth, and no matter what pieces are in there, it's still going to work.
Absolutely. And, you know, I have, since I came in here, I think part of my push has been to make both of those women proud of what we're putting out and the product that we're putting out for UNO. You know, every day I have to walk by, you know, Connie Clausen's office, and I want to feel pride in the product. That's right, and the product that we're putting on the floor. We really do work hard to do that, both on and off the floor, with both of those two. Absolutely.
All right, let's quickly look ahead. I know you have the rest of the season. You haven't even hit your conference schedule yet, but of course, the last few years, Maverick's going to be moving to the MIAA, so a lot of the non-conference games are MIAA people. Looking ahead to leaving the North Central, how does that change things for you as a coach, or does it?
You know, I think both of the programs, I mean, you look at the North Central Conference, and historically for women's basketball, it by far was probably the best conference in Division II women's basketball. You know, you look at the number of national titles won historically, that sort of thing. However, you know, recently you've seen a push with teams like Washburn and Emporia, who have consistently been ranked in probably the top 7 in the country. So, you know, for us, we feel like if you're making a leap from any conference, making it from the North Central to the MIAA is, for women's basketball, it's a great move for us. And I think consistently, if you look at the level of play, you're preparing for that top level anyway. Now, we go out and have to prepare for the North Dakotas and the South Dakotas that have been historically ranked, and Augie, you know, so for us, making that kind of preparation, that's not going to change. We're going to get that great level, the premier level of Division II women's basketball. You know, we hope that people can appreciate that and start to come out and watch those games, because I think that you may underestimate, you know, the quality level of basketball that's played at this level. And it really is fun to watch. You know, there are some great coaches and some outstanding players to come and watch, you know, play. It really is a fun game.
All right, let's look ahead to see what the Lady Mavericks have in store. And you can see, well, actually, it's right behind us here in Northwest Missouri State, as we said. You got Newman, BYU. How'd you swing that?
Yeah, you like that? That was the.
I should still be the play-by-play announcer for the Mavericks now.
That's right.
I mean, I got to go to places like Duluth. Not that Duluth is a bad place, but I mean, come on, BYU, Hawaii Pacific. And also, you talked about Augie, and I know they're coming up. I filled in and helped them during the Thanksgiving Classic and announced 2 of their games. They had a good ball club up at Augustana, so that says exactly what you're saying. So this is a pretty good schedule, though, you got coming up.
Absolutely. I think the first 2 games are going to be critical. Obviously, Northwest Missouri State, they're picked 3rd in the MIAA, and, you know, it'll be a great test for us. And then we have to turn around, you know, and play CSU Pueblo, which is picked to win the West in the RMAC, another really great team. So those 2 games immediately as non-conference in-region games, which are of critical importance at Division II. When you talk about looking at regional rankings, you know, those are going to be really important for us to evaluate ourselves and also to legitimize, you know, where we are and how good we are.
Good. Well, I tell you what, you're playing great. I wish you the best of luck for the rest of this season, obviously. And thanks for joining us on Maverick Sports. We'll have to have you back.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
All right, that's Coach Patty Pat Shear of the Lady Mavericks. Okay, moving on to what's in store for the wrestlers now. We've got, looking ahead to the wrestling, Midlands tournament coming up, and of course we'll have all this stuff on our show in our next look back. And we've got the Dano Open coming for Mike Denny's Cruise, the NCAA Nationals. Of course, the Mavericks have always done good in Nationals. They spoil us. And of course, the Brand Open on January 19th, which of course is hosted right here at UNO. And the swimming and diving team travels north. They'll be at South Dakota on December 15th, and then they take on South Dakota and Truman State here in Omaha later in January, and then they travel up to Northern Iowa. They take on the Panthers up there. It's a great, if you've never been up to Northern Iowa and been to that dome, you got to go. I know the dome's a little older than it was a few years ago, but it's a really great place. And the hockey team doesn't get any rest either. Here's a look at the upcoming matches for them. They've got Union, Minnesota State, Mankato, Yale, Princeton at Western Michigan. And they'll take on Miami of Ohio as they get into that CCHA conference. And then they travel to Fairbanks, and they take on Alaska Fairbanks. The men's basketball team continues its unbeaten quest with a rematch against Northwest Missouri. Of course, we'll talk to Darren Hansen in a minute about that. So what he wants to do is play Northwest Missouri twice in like 2 weeks. This time, though, this game will be at Sapp Fieldhouse. Of course, Midland Lutheran. The Warriors will be in town. Sioux Falls, Montana State Billings. They've got Doane, which has been a traditional game. Goes way, way back. The Tigers always seem to play well when they come into the Fieldhouse. Definitely not a gimme game. Then Augustana from in York, and of course the annual battles on all the sports we have with Nebraska Kearney. Well, I'll tell you what. We went from women's basketball, now we're in men's basketball. With me is the men Maverick head coach, Darren Hansen. And his kids are doing the New England Patriots imitation because nobody can beat him. And I know he hates media guys like me, putting the monkey on his back. But you know what, Darren? First of all, thanks for joining us at Maverick Sports.
Oh, pleasure being here.
Second of all, when you do what your team is doing, whether you like it or not, you're going to gain attention, and that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah, and we've gotten some of that, but that's a tribute to our kids, and that goes a while back, They put in a lot of work over the summer, a lot of work this fall. They've bonded well together, and we appreciate all the work that they've done, and it's starting to pay off a little bit for them.
Did you know that you'd have this kind of a? I mean, every coach hopes for this kind of start in the chemistry and all the intangibles that seem to go into a team sport. But did you really envision yourself 7-0?
Well, the thing about it is, when we kind of put this team together and we looked at it, we weren't really sure because there were so many. We had a lot of pieces that weren't with us last year because of some injuries, and they're back, and a couple new people. So we had a lot of different things that we had to kind of get through. But the one thing I would not do, or we have not done, is put limitations on our team either. So,
Sure.
We've tried to go out and we've tried to get better every day. That's kind of been our focus. To this point, it's worked. We hope that continues.
All right, now what did the wins against two top 10 teams, one of them at their place, do for this team's attitude and approach?
Well, I think the first thing it did was it gave us some confidence on the road. We had struggled a little bit, and our first road game at Missouri Western, we went down and won a tough game, and the best thing about that was every possession really counted. The last 8 or 10 minutes of that
Sure.
game, and we got over the hump, and that gave us some confidence into the Northwest Missouri game. That being said, they're going to come back here, and we're going to play that game here at the Sapp Fieldhouse, and we're excited about that. But they're going to come in loaded to bear, so we're going to get all we want out of that one.
Well, okay, I want to ask you this. You've already played them once, and again, in college basketball, you play sometimes the same opponent. Sometimes you can play them more than twice even.
Sure.
But do you like the fact that the last time you played them, you beat them? Do you like that coming into this game, or does that not even come into the equation?
Yes and no. We're excited that we won that basketball game, but I think we tempered our excitement with we have a long ways to go.
Sure.
And we know that. The target might be a little bit more on our back right now, as I think we might have jumped them in the rankings. But we've tried not to talk about that with our team. We haven't talked to them about it. I'm sure our kids know that because that's just what happens these days with the media. So they're going to come in with all they want. So would I want to win or lose the last game? Sure, you want to win it, but then that puts a different perspective on the the mindset of us and them coming into this next basketball game, which we'll have to be ready for.
Okay, speaking of that, let's just take that in a general sense. As we said, you're 7-0. You've beat two top 10 teams, one at their place. As a coach and a coaching staff, how do you keep the players focused on the task at hand instead of getting caught up with what we, the media, do, hype everything?
Oh, yeah, and I understand that. And the one thing we've really focused on every day has been, what are we doing today? What are we getting better at today in practice? And not only that, we'll break it down, okay, here's the drill we're doing, and here's what we're trying to accomplish, and this is what we have to get better at. And I think our kids understand that. The best part about our season right now is we're 7-0, but I told them I think we're 7-20. Because we've done enough to win our first 7, but we haven't proved anything for our next 21 yet. So, every day means something, and every drill means something. And if we can continue to have that mindset, then, like I said, I'm not sure what the limit will be for this basketball team.
Well, you guys are living large because you have two North Central Conference Players of the Week, Michael Jenkins and Denny Johnston. I mean, Johnson just recently named. When you put all that in the mix with the rest of the players and how the team has played, and like you said, you struggled a little bit at Missouri Western, but you still came away with a win. So, I mean, how do you look at this whole thing overall when you look at what's gone on so far?
Well, I think you have to look at a couple of those guys you mentioned. Denny Johnston, a 4-year player for us, a senior from Omaha West Side. Great program, has been very instrumental in what we've been able to do here over 4 years, and he's a great leader by example. And speaking of a day-to-day attitude, I mean, Denny brings that, and everybody knows that and can see it. Michael's just done a great job for us as a junior. He's one of our tri-captains. has been really good for us scoring the basketball, but then defensively he's a really good basketball player as well for us. So guys see that effort on that end and know that they have to bring it as well. And then a third guy I'd like to mention would be our only other senior besides Denny, and that's Jerry Bennett. And he has some double-doubles for us this year. He rebounds the basketball and he defends in the post and gives us a presence down there because we've been able to shoot it in on the perimeter, but it's been his presence on the inside that's really done a good job to kind of get us over the hump.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You know, the guys that score the points and are out front, maybe, flashy, hit the three-pointer, get people's attention. I love watching Jerry Bennett. I just get a kick out of watching him play basketball.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, we do too. And the thing about Jerry is he brings a smile every day. That's just Jerry's personality. He's always got a smile on his face. He knows if something doesn't go right. He knows when it's his fault. He knows to put the blame on himself. But he also understands his role, and that's to rebound the basketball. And that's an aggressive thing, and it's a mindset. And Jerry brings that. So we appreciate everything that he does for our basketball team.
A couple other guys I wanted to ask you about, only because their family name equates to basketball in their hometown, and that's the Albers brothers. I know that there's a couple of years between them, but you look at what they bring to the table, and as a coach, I guess you kind of like that, huh?
Oh yeah, and you know what those guys have both done? They both worked extremely hard for us, and they're great from Papillion High School.
Right.
Both played in good programs down there, and the thing that I really like is they give us a lot of punch right now off the bench. And we haven't had that here lately. We haven't had that depth, and they're going to come in. We know they're going to look to score it, but on the defensive end, they're really trying to get into people and play team defense for us and communicate. So, but they've given us some numbers off the bench, and that's been very beneficial because that'll take some pressure off some other areas that you might be struggling in. Okay, so with that comment, I'm going to assume you're pretty comfortable with your depth. Oh, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, we're going to play 8 to 10 guys regularly. And we've been doing that. So we want to get bodies in and out, and we haven't had that in the past couple years with some injuries and things. So we're excited about being able to throw some fresh bodies out there because Denny, Michael, Andrew Bridger, those guys that used to play 37 minutes or 36 minutes a game because they had to, now your efficiency level goes up because now your efficiency level at 28 or 30 minutes is just way better. Yeah, I don't think people realize that. I mean, especially even hardcore basketball fans. They go watch their favorite team and their favorite players, and they expect those guys can just run the floor for 40 minutes. Don't worry about it. They're young kids. But you bring up a great point. Depth, everybody talks about depth. If you have the people, the pieces you can put in and not lose a step, that's huge. Oh, it is big. And, it's really two things. Number one, you have the depth, so you can kind of keep fresh bodies on the floor all the time. And then the second part of it is we have guys that are interchangeable, can move around spots a little bit, from a small forward to a big forward, from a shooting guard to to the bigger wing. So we have some interchangeable parts, and that helps us to be able to adjust what's going on with the other team as well. All right, we've got about 45 seconds coming up. You got the Northwest Missouri game coming, but other than that, you're going to finish the NCC schedule. Yeah, and what we've done so far has been great, but it hasn't done anything for us in January and February yet, and we know the NCC is tough, top to bottom, always has been. No easy wins, never has been, and there won't be this year either in the final season. All right, well, Darren, thanks for joining us. I know we'll have you back again. I appreciate what you're doing for Maverick basketball. It's a great team to watch, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, don't go anywhere because when we come back, Cody Banks introduces you to the quick change artists at the Quest Center. And then Munira Amini tells us about the Fieldhouse Study Hall. We'll be back. Maverick fans, visit gomavs.unomaha.edu to keep up on all your favorite Maverick teams, check the schedule, and even buy tickets to the next game. Check it out at gomavs.unomaha.edu. Well, we all know what a terrific job that Mike Kemp does with the Maverick hockey team, and what hard work all the players do on the ice. What you may not know is how hard so many other people work to make sure the ice is ready for the Mavericks. Well, reporter Cody Banks tells us more.
After the players leave the court and the fans clear the arena, the crane banners must come down and the Quest Center staff must change a basketball arena into a hockey arena. The ice being laid down in September will remain under the floor for all Quest Center events until hockey season ends.
Also have ice at the Civic Auditorium where UNO practices. Both facilities have a system where it's insulation pads that are put over the ice, and we put things over the dasher, like covers over the dashers as well, and the dashers are the sides of the ice that hold up the nets and also carry advertising, and that's what you always see the players sort of crash against.
Since 1997, Creighton and UNO have played in the same building.
With a lot of heavy machinery being used, safety is a big concern.
Well, we, of course, always try to follow all of the OSHA guidelines. I know that our building director is very safety conscious. All of our forklifts have security features enabled. The changeover people are all trained in the latest OSHA safety requirements.
While it may look fast here, it actually takes a couple hours to change over.
Well, I did just want to add that obviously basketball to hockey is an easier changeover. Going from hockey to basketball does take a little bit longer, probably a lot longer, because there's more equipment that has to come out for basketball.
By the end of the changeover, you wouldn't even know that a basketball game took place a couple hours ago. For Maverick Sports, I'm Cody Banks.
Goal.
Thanks, Cody. Of course, all the Maverick hockey players are also hardworking college students, too. And in college, being a student athlete means you're a student first and an athlete. Munira Amini files this report on how UNO Athletics helps all the student athletes be good students as well as good athletes.
Most student athletes appreciate having a study room available. The study hall is a place where athletes come in between classes to work on their papers, check class assignments, and communicate with others. Senior softball player Brianna Caradella is one athlete who takes advantage of the study room.
And it's a lot better than going all the way to the library or back to your dorm to do homework, especially when you do have to practice usually every day during the day.
It's mandatory for freshmen and all transfer students to put in 4 hours a week in study hall.
There is a penalty for those who miss their hours.
We just have to do like 8 hours the following week if we would miscalculate the number of hours that we did in the 1 week.
A student athlete's progress is always be monitored even when they have a higher GPA.
Just because they don't have to be in here doesn't mean they don't have to, maintain a certain GPA or keep their grades up. We do grade checks with the professors, and we get a sheet about every 3 to 4 weeks on their progress. And if we see a student athlete slipping, then we will put them back into the room.
Student athletes spend most of their time in the field house, and having a study room there makes it more convenient for them. The study room offers the kind of encouragement and support that drives these student athletes to achieve success in competition and the classroom. For the Maverick Sports, I'm Munira Amini.
Well, that's our program for this month, Maverick fans. If you missed any of today's show or you just wanted to listen to our basketball coaches again, catch one of the replays of this program next Monday or Tuesday on TKN. We'll take some time off for the holidays, but we'll be back on January 25th to continue bringing all the news about all the sports at UNO. And speaking of the holidays, we at Maverick Sports want to wish everyone out there to have a very Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. We've had a great time this fall bringing you the shows of all the Maverick athletics, and we want to continue that through the winter and into the spring. And we just appreciate all your support and all the nice things that people have been saying about us. We appreciate it, and until next time, hang high the crimson and black.